Good morning.
Morning. So I don't see a quorum. Right, we're still waiting for John and Bob.
Yeah, looks like it.
I think, well, here comes
Oh,
Bob.
there's Bob.
All right.
Connecting via audio. Yeah, he said he might only be able to get in through his phone.
Can you hear us, Bob?
Good morning.
Oh, there
Good
he is.
morning.
Okay, you made it.
He's there.
Barely.
Hey, you
We'll
sound
see.
pretty good. You sound clearer than if you were in Picasset, I'll tell you that. Doesn't that just say something?
Yeah. All right, well, we have a quorum, Bob.
Excellent. Okay. Do we know who's missing? Let me just look here. Jed,
John.
I'm gonna let you chair, continued as we said. I have no idea how good this connection is, or if five other people decide to get on Verizon. I have one bar on Verizon here, and that's what I'm working off of.
Okay. All right, so then let's get the meeting called to order. We'll move ahead with the first item. So attendance, we've got everybody but John. We also have Anne Marie and we have Bourne TV.
Yep.
All right. Review and approval of minutes from September 26th. I looked them over. I don't have any issues. Any comments from anybody?
No, I don't.
Okay, good.
All right. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay.
All right. So we'll do it on roll call vote. Wendy,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
aye, Bob.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Review public correspondence. Does anybody know of any? I haven't seen any. Nope. Anne Marie's shaking her head. Okay, let's move on. Bead challenge. What do we have on that? Is that the letter? We're going to talk about the letter under this topic.
Yes.
I would guess so. Let me see if I can open up my copy here.
All right. I looked at it. I mean, it seems like reasonable content that needs to be cleaned up a little bit. That was kind of my impression.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, if you can, again, the history here, just for the benefit of anybody watching this on TV, is that there are a number of, call them irregularities with perceived or real irregularities with how MBI was processing mainly rebuttals and the acceptance of rebuttals and our fears about the adjudication of rebuttals. And we are now closing in on the end of the adjudication period, and we needed to get all of that down on paper, get it to MBI, and essentially just to put them on notice that we've seen these. They've communicated to some extent to say that they're following their own rules. There's some indications that we have that they aren't following their own rules, and we wanted to get it on paper. So this letter is about 2 pages of text that describes those, with a lot of endnotes, footnotes that refer to 2 appendices that are heavily documented with both their own state rules and also the federal rules that they're following. Just for any suggestions on actual cleaning it up, we have a couple of places, for instance, where Brian has suggested putting boxes around the actual regulation citations in the appendices. And I think that's probably that's generally a good idea, just to call those out. Any other specific cleanups that that folks see? Again, I don't have this up online. I'm just looking at it on screen because I don't think I can do. I don't think the DSL that I'm trying to use for internet connection is going to be able to handle that.
Yeah,
And he's-
excuse me. I was looking at the appendices are lettered, whereas your notes are tiny Roman numerals, and I think these should all match.
Well, the Roman numerals, the tiny Roman numerals are end notes, and the end notes, the 8 of them,
Okay.
if you get down below the signature block on the letter, which is about 2 or 3 pages down,
Yeah.
maybe I'll just say I'll label that end notes to main text of letter. How's that? Right below where it says the select
Sure.
board of the town of Bourne.
Yeah.
And-
And I presume we have like all those copies of those emails from Manfredi and you know, and the address, MBI address listing the challenge and rebuttals, and well, obviously we have that. But we ought to actually have physical copies of those emails from Manfredi and the team.
what is that? Yeah.
In your end notes, you
Yes,
refer you refer
picking-
to those emails from Manfredi and Associated Communications with the MBI team. We ought to have copies of those tacked in here somewhere.
I agree. Is anybody getting crosstalk? I'm hearing something in the background.
Not me.
What could that possibly be? What is that nonsense?
West Virginia Internet Service?
It sounds like I'm picking up yeah, something very strange here. Give me a couple of seconds here to figure out what that is.
Mhm.
I hear somebody in a truck talking on a radio, it seems. Does anybody else hear that?
I don't know.
No,
One moment here.
that's
This explains why DSL was automatically excluded from being considered served. right then and there.
he's on a cell call, right?
Yeah, I'm
He's
working
on
on a
DSL.
cell phone and I don't know where
DSL.
that's coming from. So I'm
Yeah.
Oh, it's
CB
cell phone, okay.
radio is my guess, right?
yeah.
There you go, good
Um,
buddy.
And it's unregulated spectrum. And sometimes there just isn't enough protection against that, depending on what your radio front end is. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not unheard
Okay, well,
of.
I
Let's
had
put it that
headphones.
way.
Can you folks hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. I was on headphones and the headphones seem to have picked something up and lo and behold,
Are they
There's a-
wireless? Are the headphones wireless?
yeah, they're Bluetooth. So I'm picking up somebody else's Bluetooth transmission and
No,
lo
I
and
think
behold,
it's
there were
yeah, it could be. I'm thinking it's CB radio that's bleeding it. But anyway, yeah,
okay. Anyway,
not surprising.
Well,
Yes.
won't they be surprised when they hear this?
he couldn't hear me. So, and okay, just to repeat, so you were suggesting, Wendy, that we have physical copies of all of these emails available. Brian, that email string with that included Nicole Manfredi and back and forth to MBI around September 25th and previous. That's as I recall, last time it was 16 different emails. I don't think
we can. What format are you looking to attach it? Because it's going to be messy and long.
I'll put them in appendix 2.
Tom
well
Campbell.
Okay, we have an appendix 2 already.
We do?
I think
We have an appendix 1.
yeah, appendix I and appendix II.
Oh,
If
well,
you
then
look
appendix
down,
3.
okay. Um,
I'm gonna forward it to you, Wendy, and you can take a look if
Yeah.
that looks
Yeah,
okay.
I'll paste those in there. Yep.
that is, yeah, that's going to be pretty bulky. We perhaps, can just reference that and give it to the select board and make it their decision as to whether they want to send that along.
So I would make the recommendation that you can reference them and upon request, make them
There you go.
available.
Yeah.
Okay, I will change that in
Yep,
the
available on
end note.
request.
Full text of emails available on request. Full text of correspondence available on request. So that'll be end note I and the end note triple I. Yeah. Okay, I'll put that in. Okay, that's a good point. We need to memorialize those somewhat permanently. We ought to have PDF copies of those sitting out there someplace.
Yep.
Okay. Any other suggestions on cleaning this up before we vote on it? Brian has a couple of suggestions that he's made to me about putting some a couple of better references, and I've got to drop those in. But then again, those are in appendix I. Anne Marie, I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say that it's unlikely anybody on the select board is actually going to read those appendices, and they're going to trust us, given the heavy references that are down there to every, virtually to the paragraphs in the regs that we're citing.
One would hope.
Correct.
Okay.
The main focus most likely will be on the letter, the language in the letter itself.
Okay.
Some may read it.
Yeah, the one other thing, either Brian or Wendy, that I would need help on is getting the addresses of all of the folks who are listed on that. We've got 6 elected officials, and Brian, I do not have any addresses for the 2 NTIA people. Because there's going to be a whole page of addressees before we even get to the text of the letter, I would think.
They preferred email.
Okay. So if everybody there, if we've got emails for everybody, we can just include that under the names. If you can just forward those to me, I'll enter the email addresses for each.
Or if it's hard for you to pick that stuff up, you can shoot them over to me and I can plug them in. That's easy.
Okay. Why don't we do it that way?
Okay, I'll get them right now, and as many as I can, and forward them to Wendy and Bob, and we can start live editing this, because we got to approve it today, I think.
Well, I don't think we need to live edit those addresses in right now. Do we,
No.
Anne Marie? I mean, that's again, we're just
No, just have it in the final copy that's going to be sent to the select board.
right. Yeah, we will probably if we can get this done today, Wendy, Brian, we can I can send this off in an email to the select board overnight
Okay.
for consideration, and to Marlene, I guess, for consideration on next Tuesday's agenda. Yeah, I want to get it to make sure that especially MJ knows about this as soon as possible. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else that anybody needs to
Is it necessary for us to, look at the final cleanup, or are you guys just gonna trust us to neaten up the formatting and all that?
I would recommend the motion be as edited, right?
Okay.
Motion to approve the letter as with recommended edits.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll make that motion.
So we've done.
I make
Second.
the motion to approve the letter with the recommended edits, and Wendy seconds it.
Okay,
Over to
we'll
you,
do
Jed.
yeah, we'll do roll call vote. Wendy,
Aye.
aye. Brian,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
okay, unanimous.
Phew. Okay. Thank you all for your support to Brian and me to get this thing done.
All
Kind
right,
of a-
anything else we gotta cover under B challenge? No, all right, digital equity implementation plan for recommendations. I think that this is kind of this is just a placeholder, right? Waiting to hear back from the select board at this point?
Correct.
Yes.
It's been submitted, right?
Okay. And I haven't seen anything happen there. All right, so we'll move on. Liaison with Cape Cod Tech Council.
The yeah, I was on that call. The one interesting piece of information is that there were reps for both Comcast and Verizon on there, and I think you'll get to this further on under Falmouth, but the Ellen Cummings, the vice president for Verizon, who handles Southeast Mass, did say, and she was questioned very vigorously by representatives from Falmouth, that they had received a GAT Networks 1 funding for Falmouth to hit all the unserved and underserved areas, and they will do so within the terms of that grant process and complete that by the end of 2026. But at the same time, their plan was to serve all of Falmouth, and she used those words. And but there was no specifics in terms of date, and she was questions about dates, etc. And basically, she said, "Well, that remains to be determined." She said the big part of it is that they had to upgrade the equipment in the COs, the what I call wirehouses in on Depot Road, downtown Falmouth, etc. Essentially, so that they had the ability to serve all of those residences and businesses. And it was unclear how the grant money would be used, if it would be used just for the unserved and underserved, or might cover the in-office equipment needed for the whole town. And she was unclear, I guess, because she didn't know at that point, at that level of detail.
So what's interesting about that, Bob, is that the Depot Road facility covers a good chunk of Falmouth, right? It goes all the way up 151, almost to the Mashpee line, and it goes down 28A to that rotary. Those are all the Depot Road facility covers phone service that far into Falmouth. So if they upgrade Depot Road, they would potentially have at least some infrastructure to go all the way into Pocasset.
True, and recall that Depot Road also serves our, at least Jed's and my phone exchanges, so 563 and etc.
Right.
Which butts right up against the 759 border, if you will, which is how far they are bringing FiOS down from the north.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah. So they're doing, well, yeah, they're doing FiOS out of Buzzards Bay to cover the 759 numbers, right? And so this may be the way that they're going to cover the 563 numbers in Bourne. Once, if they claim they're doing all of Falmouth, then they're going to have some basic infrastructure in place to cover Pocasset and Catawba.
The questioning during the tech council was, would they have enough ports when they upgraded the offices, the in-office equipment, to cover all of the people who were not currently unserved or underserved. In other words, everybody else in Falmouth. And she said, well, eventually we would have to do that, and eventually had no time limit on it.
Yeah, but that's the small cost.
We should be. Yeah.
Way small. Right. Once the expense is stringing the fiber. Once they do that, adding it's like $5,000 to cover like 250 people. in one of those little Calyx boxes. So that's small money. It's once they run the fiber, then they've got most of it spent.
My inference from what she was talking about is that she frankly was less technically aware, perhaps, than many of the people on the call were.
Could be.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, she's speaking. She's a a government relations vice president. Okay. So again, she knows generally what the technology is. Remember, she was unaware that FiOS was actually selling, retail residential connections in the north part of south of Canal, Bourne. So again, she just was making a big deal about in office connections. Now, again, this is my suggestion for a future meeting. Just another point is that she reiterated that they had gotten Gap Network One funding for also for Sandwich and also for Mashpee, and essentially saying that they were going to do the same. And for those without any other commitments, they were going to be covering the unserved and underserved, with no commitment to cover the whole towns. What my suggestion might be is that the board consider another letter to be sent by the select board at a future date, not right now, essentially just reminding them that they have, in fact, in hand a letter where we supported their application. We do not know whether they applied for funding for Bourne. We hope they did for Gap Networks too, but in any case, we want them to consider the one hole in their coverage in the Upper Cape, then, which would be everything south of Monument Beach in the town of Bourne, and just call it that. Say there seems to be one gap in the area of your planned FiOS coverage, and basically don't forget us.
Speaking of gaps, yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's what a gap is. In
Yes,
any
it
case,
is.
so Jed, if you want to put that on an agenda, just you put an agenda item in there for Gap Network 2 and potential select board letter to applicants, which would be both them and Verizon and Comcast.
Okay.
And we'll figure out what's going on a little later. Okay. The next item, the Broadband Coalition. Brian, were you on that call with me?
Yeah, I was on the last broadband coalition call. You want to
Yeah, why don't
lead off
you-
and I can fill in?
Yeah, why don't you go? Basically, there were a number of a few towns there. Westport has been very active there and very vocal in complaining about the same things that we have complained about in terms of the bead challenge, and they had been thrown out at the first stage in terms of their speed testing, when they thought they did everything according to the rules, and they were just basically quite upset that there were minor technicalities that threw those things out with with absolutely no discretion applied by MBI. And I forgot exactly, the town of New Bedford, city of New Bedford was on the call, and they had not gotten any gap funding, and they had applied. Again, they had a lot of challenges thrown in, and I don't recall what the outcome of that was. Brian, do you recall?
They had they did. We didn't find out from New Bedford how their challenges worked out. They never told us, but the rest of Southeastern and Eastern Mass basically had every single challenge thrown out or blocked or rebutted, or they didn't fare much better than us.
Right. So there was some talk of just a coalition of kind of a mass multi-town protest. But Bob Aspendola did not take that forward. I have not heard of any further activity, although again, my for the last week, my connections via email have been spotty. I haven't been able to check every single one. I don't know if you ever seen anything, Brian.
Uh, sorry, say that again. What was the question?
Well, the question
I'm
is, have
digging
you
up
seen
email addresses and everybody.
have you seen any communications at all about any kind of a further coalition to protest the handling of the challenges, rebuttals, and potentially adjudication?
Oh, they've already asked Markey's office if they can do something on a federal level. I think they're since it's a little less formal of a group, they haven't come up with a cohesive strategy yet, but they definitely want to either influence the next program so that this doesn't happen again, and or protest the current one. They still seem like they're trying to figure out what the right lever to pull there is.
Did we lose you, Bob? He seems to have
Mm,
gone on.
there he
Hello,
is.
hello. There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Again, we don't know where this is going on a multi-town level, but we've got areas to the ground, and we'll see. And for consideration, we'll immediately offer the select board an opportunity to hop on board if they see advantage for the residents in Bourne. Okay. Uh, that's all for the broadband coalition.
All right, so as far as other towns go, there's really nothing going on anywhere in the Cape officially and publicly, except for Falmouth. The MLP has been meeting about monthly. Their latest agenda shows that, I guess they met this week with New England Broadband. And other than that, they're basically waiting to see what happens with the CTC report before they go ahead with their long-term strategy. They did note in their minutes that they're getting no financial support from the town, both from capital spending and big operating expense. They're going to go back and ask again. David noted, and I've seen this released publicly, I think by Comcast, that Comcast has done DOCSIS 4.0 upgrades in Falmouth and Mashpee. So what that means, basically for consumers, is they're now offering, I think it's a 300 meg down now. And maybe a 200 up. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's a higher upload and download, at least to marketing rates that they offer in Falmouth and Mashpee, basically. I think I sent the letter. I mean, the article from David out about that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Quick clarification. I'm sorry. What's CTC?
So CTC is a consulting firm that has done they've done a number of reports. So the Barnstable County needs assessment report that came out, right?
Okay.
That I sent around, that was CTC.
Okay, thank you.
And then Falmouth Net, not the MLP, Falmouth Net hired them to do this report where they're comparing the different models of municipal broadband from fully private to fully public to public-private. I think there's 4 models they're looking at. And the proposal that the MLP was asking for is give us something we can explain to town meetings so they understand the different models when we go and talk to them about it.
Right. Okay, thank you. I remember that that 4-mile comparison. I just didn't remember who did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but what's interesting is that the Barnstable report, section 3.6, covers the same territory. So I think they've already basically got the report done. And maybe they're looking for some last few details.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Jed, I've got a question to ask your considered opinion on this. Do you think that the upgrades that happened on Comcast in Falmouth and Mashpee were the direct result of the existence of the MLP and and in terms of Mashpee, there was like $9 million
Correct.
that was
Correct.
granted to, was that Open Cape who got that to do that work?
I think it was granted to the tribe and that they contracted Open Cape, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So
Um,
basically, competition,
Yes.
at least upgraded service.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I haven't seen that publicly stated by Comcast, but I have seen that mentioned as sort of what happened, basically. I don't think there's any direct evidence from a public statement from Comcast, although it has been stated by many people in the industry that that's basically the reason that they did that. The MLP and the Mashpee, right, so the competition. What's interesting is why they haven't made a move in Bourne in the 759 area with FiOS coming down. You would think that they would have, but
I don't know. Do we know where Comcast has their equivalent of a CO
it
in
used
terms
to
of?
be in Bournedale. It used to be in Bournedale, up Bournedale Road.
Mhm.
There was a shack on the left-hand side. And then from there they serve out of Plymouth. I don't know where it is located in Plymouth, but the Bournedale Road facility was a subs. There it used to actually be an antenna farm up on the hill back there. Back in the
Oh,
day, there were
yes.
satellite antennas. I don't know how many of you folks have been around Bourne that long, but
But the big C-band ones, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. The original that back when it was Heron. They had the big satellite antennas up on the hill off Bournedale Road, and there was a shack up there. But that was served out of Plymouth. So Heron's base of operation was Plymouth back then. And they may have pushed everything back to Plymouth for economies of scale.
Mhm. That site on the hill right now has a cell tower.
Huh. All right. Well, yeah. So I had heard that they had pushed everything back to Plymouth, and I just haven't been over there in years. So
Okay.
that's
But
that's where it is then.
my inference of all of this is that the squeaky wheel gets greased, and
Mhm.
so us making frankly making noise and raising public awareness to the citizens born. If we keep that up, hopefully it'll get some attention within Comcast, and they may offer the same upgrades at least to us. But
Say, how
again, that's
squeaky do we have to be? It seems to me we've been pretty squeaky.
I know. We don't, we haven't made noise about an MLP, which we won't. We haven't done other things. I think
Yeah, they already know that our select board doesn't even want to hear those initials.
right.
So,
So, well, anyway,
God knows to spite face.
okay, let's just keep our ear to the ground. If we can basically convince Verizon to keep us on their radar, perhaps that'll upgrade Comcast for anybody who needs it, who wants it.
I
It
think
should be.
that's the thing, is to continue to push Verizon and make it as easy as possible for Verizon to deploy as far and wide as they can in town.
Yeah. Okay. Who knows? Maybe New England Broadband will say they want to try to serve the town of Falmouth, and say, hey, Bourne is an easy stretch too. Anyway, that's all wishing and hoping. That's not a strategy. Okay, and again, you referenced David Eisenberg's very detailed article on what's going on in Falmouth. So I think that pretty much says it.
Yep. All right, the last item is discuss written and verbal reporting to the select board. What's it
I
to
don't think
discuss?
so.
Um,
I thought we were done with that.
Okay.
Yep, and the executive summary looked fine. So
Okay.
we can send just continue sending both to the select board once those are approved. The long minutes and the cliff notes, and they can question us as they need to be. Just to let you know, with regard to reporting to the select board, at least right now, my roof job here has not started, so I've got to, I'm going to hand that off to my daughter and son-in-law to figure out how to supervise these guys. The material hasn't shown up. That's so we're going to be coming back this weekend. So I will be at the select board meeting on the 15th, presuming MJ puts the letter on the agenda. And anybody else, feel please sign in via on Zoom, etc. The more the merrier, so to speak. Okay, that's all I
Okay.
have to say for that.
All right, so we'll move on, look at the agenda for the next meeting. All right, so it's on the 24th, 9 a.m. I added the Gap Network to potential support letter item here on B4B. Anything else we need on the agenda?
I don't see anything that's needed.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that's what that'll be. So then just let me do this. We'll quit out of this. Pop us back to here. And ready to adjourn.
So moved.
Very good.
Second.
Just for before we do adjourn, just for ongoing work, just the plan is, Wendy, you're going to try to make some cleanups. Brian, you're going to send email addresses for all the addressees, and when you think that's ready, you send me a text, and I'll either get back in here to my neighbor's DSL or some other way, and I'll download it, and we'll finalize it, and then I will send it off to the select board and to Marlene.
So when it's done, you want us to
Sounds-
email it to you then?
Yeah, do email. Oh, absolutely, email it to me. I'll find a way to get a decent email connection so I can get it
Okay.
out.
Okay.
And if if it happens between 11 and 4 o'clock, I can actually go into the library and actually do it instead of sitting in the car.
Wow.
Yeah, and they have some kind of fiber broadband for an emergency network that connects the town buildings. The fire department is right across the street, so they and the police are connected. So this is they've got a good connection. It's just a matter of getting in the building. They're only open 24 hours a week.
Okay.
Okay, there was a motion to adjourn and second, and
Wow.
if you want to go ahead and vote,
Yeah,
Jed, and we
Wendy?
can.
Aye.
Aye. Brian?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Okay.
And just for the record, this was a 38-minute meeting, so maybe all meetings should be chaired by Jed. Just a suggestion.
I'm good with that
Okay.
if Jed doesn't mind.
All righty. See you all in 2
Okay.
weeks. Bye.
Okay, thank
Catch
you.
you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Brian, give me a buzz when you get a minute.